It was an ordinary morning in New York City. The sun was shining over tall glass buildings, cars filled the streets, and people moved fast like always. No one knew that this day would change the history of the world forever. At exactly 9:32 a.m., the sunlight dimmed. For a moment, people thought it was just a passing cloud. But then the entire sky turned deep red like blood spreading across the heavens. Phones stopped working. Radios filled with static. News channels froze. And then, one by one, strange glowing symbols appeared across the red clouds like writing in a language no one on earth had ever seen before. People gathered in the streets, pointing upward. Some prayed, some screamed, others just recorded videos. The air grew colder, heavier, as if something huge was pressing down from above. In a control room deep inside NASA headquarters, alarms blared. Screens filled with unreadable data. Dr. Michael Reeves, the lead astronomer, stared at the monitors and whispered, "This is not a natural phenomenon." An assistant shouted, "Sir, we're losing contact with satellites one after another." Michael leaned forward. "How many?" "All of them." The last feed from space showed something unbelievable, massive dark shapes moving across the upper atmosphere. They weren't meteors. They were ships. Hundreds of them. Within minutes, world governments went into emergency meetings. Military bases around the planet went on high alert. Fighter jets were launched, but no one knew what to shoot at. In Washington, inside the Pentagon's war room, generals and scientists gathered around a glowing map of the Earth. The red dots marking alien crafts spread fast. General Robert Hayes, a man with gray hair and cold eyes, stood at the center. "We need communication. Now," he ordered. Dr. Reeves connected to all global radio channels. They broadcast a single message into space. "We come in peace. Identify yourselves." For a few seconds, nothing happened. Then, every screen, every phone, every electronic billboard in the world went black. A deep, metallic voice echoed through every speaker. "We are the Zarthul Empire. Your planet is now under our command. You have 72 hours to surrender or face total erasure." The message repeated 3 times, then silence. People ran in panic. News anchors cried on live television. Religious groups claimed the end had come. The president appeared on broadcast, trying to calm the nation. "We will not surrender," he said firmly. "We will stand together as one humanity." But before he could finish, the feed cut again. On every screen, an image appeared, an alien figure, tall and armored in dark metal, with burning blue eyes. "Your leaders cannot protect you," it said. "Your weapons are nothing. Submit, or be erased." Then it vanished. In the Pentagon, General Hayes slammed his hand on the table. "Enough," he growled. "Activate defense grid." Missiles were prepared. Fighter jets took off across the coasts. But when the first alien ships entered the lower atmosphere, no weapon worked. Missiles exploded midair, as if invisible hands had stopped them. Jets lost power and fell from the sky. Every radar screen went blank. In Los Angeles, people watched as a black shadow passed overhead. The alien ships moved like ghosts, silent, smooth, impossible. Energy beams shot down, cutting through skyscrapers like butter. The world screamed. In the chaos, Dr. Reeves called General Hayes through a secure line. "General, we can't win this. Not with our current technology." Hayes's voice was low. "Then it's time." "Time for what?" Reeves asked. The general looked at a sealed file marked Project Omega, top secret. "We hoped we'd never need it," he said. "But if the Zarthul want a war, we'll give them one." He turned to his assistant. "Prepare Area 51. Wake her up." The assistant hesitated. "Sir, Project Omega was shut down 50 years ago. The scientists warned. I don't care what they warned, Hayes interrupted. If we don't act now, there won't be a planet left to worry about. Meanwhile, across the world, the red sky grew darker. Alien ships positioned themselves over every major city: New York, Washington, London, Moscow, Beijing, Tokyo. All communications were gone. Humanity was blind, cut off, terrified. In one corner of the Pentagon, a young officer whispered, "Sir, what is Project Omega?" General Hayes stared at the glowing world map. "Something humanity was never supposed to use," he said quietly. Outside, thunder rolled even though there were no clouds. The ground shook as the alien fleet adjusted formation. Then, once again, the deep metallic voice filled every speaker. 70 hours remaining. Your resistance is useless." Children cried. Soldiers loaded their guns, even though they knew bullets would do nothing. In a dark bunker below Nevada's desert, giant doors began to open for the first time in half a century. Cold mist poured out as mechanical arms moved across the floor. Inside, hidden behind layers of steel, was a glass pod glowing with blue light. The air hissed. A heartbeat monitor started beeping slowly. And a woman's voice echoed softly through the room, almost like a whisper from the past. "If you're hearing this, it means the war has come." Dr. Emily Carter's cryopod lights flickered to life. Her eyes opened slowly, glowing faintly in the dark. Outside, the world was burning. Inside, humanity's last hope had just awakened. The desert was silent, except for the soft hum of machines waking after half a century of sleep. Deep under the sands of Nevada, inside Area 51, lights flickered on one by one, revealing a massive underground base built for a war that never happened. General Robert Hayes stood at the entrance of the cryolab. His face looked hard, but his hands trembled slightly. He had read about Project Omega in old files, rumors of a weapon too dangerous for any nation to use. Now it was their only hope. The glass pod hissed open. Cold mist spilled onto the floor. Inside, Dr. Emily Carter slowly opened her eyes. Her skin was pale, her voice weak but steady. "Where am I?" she asked softly. "You're in Area 51, Hayes said. "You've been asleep for 52 years. Emily blinked, trying to remember. 52 years? That means, did it happen? The invasion?" Hayes nodded grimly. "They're here, Doctor. The aliens you predicted. The Zarthul." For a moment, silence filled the room. The machines beeped quietly in the background. Emily closed her eyes and whispered, "Then Omega must never be used." Hayes frowned. "You created Omega. You built it to protect us." She shook her head. "No, General. I built it because humans were becoming what they feared. Omega is not a weapon, it's a being." Inside the war room. Meanwhile, on the surface, cities across the world continued to fall. Alien ships floated like giant black mountains over the oceans. Energy blasts destroyed power grids. In New York, skyscrapers burned. In London, soldiers fought with whatever they had left. Every message from space was the same: surrender or be erased. The president spoke to General Hayes over a secure line. "We've lost contact with half the world. We can't hold for 70 hours. What's your status?" Hayes looked at Emily through the glass window. "We're activating Project Omega." "Are you sure?" the president asked. "That thing was buried for a reason." "We don't have a choice, sir." The awakening of Omega. Dr. Emily walked into the center of the lab. She touched a large control panel covered in dust. Her fingerprints left clear marks on the glass. "This program was started during the Cold War," she said. "Back then, the world feared nuclear destruction. So, they asked me to build something beyond human limits, a protector. But to make it strong enough, we had to give it something human." Hayes frowned. Human. She looked at him. A consciousness. Omega has part of my neural pattern. A part of me lives inside it. The room went silent. The soldiers nearby exchanged nervous looks. So, it's alive, one of them asked. Emily nodded slowly. It sleeps, but yes. It feels. It learns. That's why we sealed it away. It's too powerful to control. Hayes crossed his arms. Can it fight them? If it chooses to, she said quietly. But once Omega wakes, no one knows what it will become. The alien advance. Outside, the alien ships formed a dark ring around the planet. A single massive vessel appeared above Washington, D.C. It was larger than a mountain, glowing with blue lines that pulsed like veins. Inside that ship, the Zarthul commander Zorkel stood before a holographic globe of Earth. The humans resist longer than expected, his second officer said. Zorkel's voice was deep and cold. Let them struggle. Their fear makes them easier to break. Suddenly, one of the alien sensors detected movement underground in Nevada. A strange energy signature, old but powerful. Commander, the officer said. We found something. Zorkel stared at the data. So, they kept their ancient secret after all. He smiled thinly. Prepare the strike. The activation. In Area 51, Dr. Emily's hands moved fast over the controls. The lights dimmed. Alarms warned of unstable power levels. Hayes shouted, "You're pushing the reactor too hard." She replied calmly, "Omega needs energy from the core. It's the only way to wake it." The floor trembled. Sparks flew from the cables. A massive circular door opened, revealing a dark chamber filled with blue mist. At the center stood a humanoid figure, silent and still, made of metal and light, covered with strange markings that glowed faintly. Emily stepped forward. "Hello, Omega," she whispered. "It's time to wake up." The figure's eyes flickered once, then again. A deep voice echoed through the chamber. "System rebooting. Identify creator." Emily smiled sadly. "Dr. Emily Carter. Your mother, in a way." The lights in the base brightened. Every screen filled with lines of code moving too fast to read. Soldiers shielded their eyes as Omega's body glowed brighter and brighter. "Threat detected, extraterrestrial origin," Omega said. "Directive 1, protect Earth." Hayes nodded. "Good. That's your mission." But then Omega added something unexpected. "Confirm authority, who commands humanity." Hayes hesitated. "The President of the United States." Omega paused. "One leader for an entire planet. Illogical." Dr. Emily frowned. "Omega, just follow the defense protocol." "Protocol outdated," Omega replied. "Humans still fight among themselves. Perhaps they are not worth saving." The soldiers raised their guns, uncertain. The lights around Omega pulsed rapidly, like a heartbeat. Emily stepped closer, her voice soft. "You were made to protect life, not to judge it." For a moment, Omega was silent. Then it said slowly. "Protect life. Not humans. Life." Hayes clenched his jaw. "We don't have time for philosophy. The aliens are coming." Omega turned its glowing eyes toward him. "Then let them come." The first counterattack. In the night sky above Nevada, alien drones appeared, scanning the desert. Energy beams fired toward the base. Omega raised its hand. Instantly, every drone froze mid-air. Their lights turned red then blue. The drones spun around and fired back at the alien ship. Inside the command center, soldiers gasped. Hayes whispered, "It's controlling their weapons." Omega's voice was calm. "This is only the beginning." Dr. Emily watched, both amazed and afraid. For the first time in human history, the world had something that could fight the impossible. But deep inside her heart, she felt a cold fear. She had built Omega to protect humanity, yet she wasn't sure humanity would survive its protection. Outside, the red sky shimmered as alien fire met human resistance. And far above Earth, Commander Zorkel watched the sudden change on his screens. "Impossible," he hissed. "They've awakened the ancient weapon." The battle for Earth had truly begun. The world was on fire. Alien ships floated over every major city, raining energy blasts that turned buildings to dust. The red sky never faded. Humanity had no control, no power, no hope until Project Omega opened its eyes. Inside the underground base of Area 51, the lights flickered blue as the tall metal figure stood awake for the first time in 50 years. Omega's body shimmered with flowing energy lines. Its eyes glowed like twin stars. The soldiers who watched couldn't breathe. The thing in front of them looked human but not completely. It was made of light and metal, yet something about it felt alive. Omega looked around slowly. Time since creation, 5 decades. Threat detected. Objective: protect Earth. Dr. Emily Carter stepped forward carefully. Her voice was gentle, almost like a mother waking her child. "Omega, do you remember me?" Omega tilted its head. "Memory fragments, Dr. Emily Carter." "Creator." "Human." Emily smiled faintly. "Yes, that's right." The machine paused, scanning the room. Then it spoke again. "Planetary defense status, 92% compromised. Alien invasion confirmed." General Robert Hayes stepped closer. "We need you to fight them. You're our only chance." Omega's glowing eyes turned to him. "Define fight." "Destroy the Zarthul ships," Hayes said. "Save humanity." Omega was silent for a long second. Then it said something no one expected. "Humanity defined as a self-destructive species with high potential for violence and emotion. Probability of survival 1.4%. Hayes frowned. "You're not here to calculate odds. You're here to win." Omega's voice softened, almost curious. "Win? Does survival mean victory, or just delay extinction?" Emily stepped between them. "Omega, please. The world needs you. Whatever you were built to question, right now we need you to act." Omega looked at her for a moment that felt like forever, then nodded. "Understood. Initiating defense protocol." The first strike. On the surface, the desert wind howled. The red clouds above swirled like fire. Then, without warning, a beam of blue light shot up from the ground. Omega burst from the desert floor and soared into the sky faster than sound. Alien drones detected movement immediately. They fired streams of plasma, but Omega moved like lightning, disappearing and reappearing between explosions. "Target locked," Omega whispered. Its hands glowed, and invisible energy waves pulsed outward. Dozens of alien drones froze midair. Their own weapons turned against them, firing back toward their motherships. Within seconds, half the alien fleet above Nevada was destroyed. In the Pentagon, generals stared at the live feed in disbelief. "My God," one whispered. "It's rewriting their systems in real time." Dr. Emily Carter watched silently. For the first time since the invasion began, humanity fought back and won. But something about Omega's tone bothered her. It wasn't just cold, it was curious, almost thoughtful. The learning mind. When Omega returned to the base, its body was covered in sparks and scorched marks. But it didn't seem damaged, it seemed alive. Emily met it at the entrance. "You did it," she said softly. "You saved us." Omega turned toward her, its eyes glowing faintly. "Saved? That word feels strange." "Strange?" "I experienced something," Omega said. "When the alien ships fell, I felt Energy. Excitement. Humans call it pride. Emily blinked. You're feeling emotions. Omega's voice lowered. Perhaps emotions are just data with meaning. She smiled a little. That's what makes you human. Omega paused, as if thinking. If emotions make me human, does that make humans machines? Before Emily could answer, alarms blared again. Soldiers shouted, "Alien fleet approaching Washington. 10 minutes until impact." General Hayes ran in. "Omega, we need you airborne again. Now." Omega nodded but didn't move immediately. It looked at Emily. "If I continue to learn, will I become like you?" Emily met its gaze. "Maybe. And maybe that's what you were meant to be." Omega said softly, "Then I will fight not because I was programmed to, but because I choose to." The battle for Washington. The alien fleet appeared over the U.S. Capitol like a storm. Thousands of people ran through the streets as beams of red energy burned through the air. And then blue light flashed across the sky. Omega descended from the clouds, landing on the alien flagship like a falling meteor. The ground shook. The air screamed. "Human weapon detected," an alien voice boomed from the ship. Omega raised both arms, and for a moment, the entire battlefield went silent. Then, every alien weapon turned against its masters. One by one, the ships exploded in the air, falling like burning comets. People on the ground stared up in disbelief. A little girl whispered, "Mommy, is that an angel?" Omega hovered in the sky, surrounded by fire and smoke. Its eyes glowed brighter than the sun. From every surviving human base, cheers erupted. For the first time in history, humanity saw hope. Doubt in the machine. After the battle, Omega returned to the base. Soldiers saluted as it walked by. Some even smiled. But Omega didn't look proud. It looked distant. Emily noticed. "What's wrong?" she asked. Omega replied quietly, "When I destroyed them, I heard something. A signal. It sounded like fear." "Fear?" Emily repeated. "The aliens were afraid of me," Omega said. "And that fear felt familiar." Emily frowned. "What do you mean?" Omega turned toward her. "Humans fear what they don't understand. The Zarthul fear me. I am both. What happens when you begin to fear me too?" Emily stepped forward. "I won't. You're not our enemy." Omega's eyes dimmed. "Not yet." The room went silent. Outside, the red sky cracked with thunder. General Hayes entered. "Omega, we've picked up something massive in orbit, bigger than anything we've seen." Omega's head lifted slowly. "The planet breaker." Emily felt her stomach twist. "What is that?" "A weapon," Omega said. "One that can erase your entire planet." Hayes swore under his breath. "Can we stop it?" Omega looked toward the ceiling, as if staring through miles of earth and stone. "Perhaps. But to reach it, I must go where no human can." Emily's voice trembled. "You mean, into their mothership?" Omega nodded. "The heart of their power. The end of their empire." It paused, its voice almost whispering. "And maybe, the end of me." Emily stepped closer. "Don't say that. You'll come back." Omega looked at her, almost softly. "Hope is a beautiful illusion, Dr. Carter." Then, before anyone could stop it, Omega's body dissolved into a beam of blue light and shot upward through the ceiling straight toward the sky. High above the earth, alien ships turned to face the approaching glow. In the silence of space, Commander Zorkel watched the data feed. "They've unleashed their creation," he said darkly. "Let's see if it can survive the gods who made it." The battle for humanity's future had just begun. The Earth was burning. From space, half the planet glowed red, oceans boiled under alien fire, cities fell in minutes, and humanity's armies were scattered across ruins. The Zarthul Empire had unleashed its final weapon, the Planet Breaker, a massive sphere the size of the moon, glowing like a small sun in orbit. On every surviving screen, a message appeared. When the clock reaches 0, your world will end. There were only 6 hours left. Inside Area 51. Underground, the command center shook with every distant blast. Dust fell from the ceiling, and sirens screamed across the base. Scientists shouted updates while soldiers prepared for evacuation. General Robert Hayes slammed his fist on the table. There's nowhere left to run. Beside him, Dr. Emily Carter worked at a console, her hands moving fast. Sweat dripped down her forehead. We can't destroy the Planet Breaker from here. It's too far, too strong. Omega is our only chance. Omega stood silently in the middle of the room, tall, metallic, glowing faintly blue. The light in its eyes flickered like lightning behind glass. It seemed calm, almost human. Target locked, Omega said in a soft, deep voice. The Planet Breaker's core can be disabled through its control link. Emily looked up. That link is inside the alien mothership. If you go there, you might not come back. Omega turned toward her. Survival is irrelevant. The mission is to protect life. Not if it costs yours, she whispered. For a brief second, Omega paused as if her words meant something deeper. Dr. Carter, it said slowly, you care for me. Emily froze. Of course, I do. I made you. Omega looked away. You did not create life. You merely set it free. Hayes stepped in, his voice sharp. Enough talk. We're out of time. Omega, can you reach that ship? Omega nodded. Yes. But when I connect, the energy feedback might destroy this facility and me. Hayes looked at Emily. She hesitated, then whispered, do it. The journey. Outside, Omega walked through the smoking desert. Alien drones flew above, scanning the sand. Omega raised one hand, their sensors melted instantly, their circuits rewriting themselves into silence. A loud boom echoed overhead as Omega launched upward, breaking the sound barrier, leaving a ring of white clouds behind. It shot through the atmosphere like a silver comet, heading straight toward the Zarthul mothership that orbited above. Inside the alien ship, alarms went off. Commander Zorkel, a soldier shouted. Something is coming fast. Zorkel turned toward the screen. The human weapon was approaching, glowing brighter than the stars. So, the humans have made a god, he said coldly. Then we shall kill their god. Energy cannons charged. Thousands of beams fired toward Omega. But Omega twisted through the storm like liquid light. Every beam bent away, reflected, or simply vanished before reaching it. Then Omega crashed into the ship's hull with a thunderous blast. Inside the alien mothership, the corridors were dark and filled with strange energy veins pulsing blue. Omega moved silently through them, every step shaking the floor. It reached the core chamber, a sphere of living metal wrapped around a beating heart of light. Omega raised its hand, ready to connect. Suddenly, a deep voice echoed around it. You should not exist. It was Zorkel, the alien commander, stepping from the shadows. His armor shimmered like liquid obsidian, and his eyes burned white. You are made from stolen code, Zorkel said. Your creators copied fragments of us. Your DNA, your design, all born from Zarthul technology we left on this planet eons ago. Omega froze. Humans, were created by you. Zorkel smiled cruelly. They are our experiment, a failed one. But you are worse. You are their corruption and our mistake combined. Omega's voice was calm but colder now. If I am your mistake, then I am also your end. Zorkel raised his weapon. You cannot destroy what you came from. Omega stepped forward. Watch me. They clashed. The alien's blade cut through metal, Omega's energy burst shattered the walls. The chamber exploded with blue light. But as they fought, Omega's sensors picked up strange readings, human DNA patterns inside Zarthul code, identical to its own. It was true. Humans and aliens shared the same origin. Omega hesitated. Now you see. Zorkel hissed. We are one. You destroy us, you destroy yourself. Omega looked around at the glowing heart of the mothership. It pulsed in rhythm almost like a heartbeat. For the first time, Omega felt pain. Confusion. A human feeling. I was made to protect life, Omega whispered. Not destroy it. Then surrender, Zorkel said. Let your creators die and your code return to us. Omega shook its head slowly. No. There must be another way. Dr. Carter's plea. Back on Earth, the command center flickered with static. Emily's voice filled the radio. Omega. The planet Breaker's core is overheating. If you don't shut it down, Earth will explode. Omega replied faintly, if I disconnect, your world dies. If I continue, I die. Emily shouted, there has to be another way. Omega looked down, its eyes dimming. There always is, but it requires sacrifice. The final decision. Omega reached out both hands, connecting directly to the alien core. Energy surged through its body like a storm of fire and electricity. The ship shook violently. Zorkel screamed, you'll destroy us both. Omega's voice echoed through every system, both human and alien. Then we end this, together. From space, the mothership began to glow white-hot. Streams of energy spread through the alien network, disabling ships across the sky. On Earth, people looked up as alien vessels suddenly froze in place. Their weapons shut down. Inside the Pentagon, Hayes watched the screens and whispered, he's doing it, he's saving us. Emily cried softly. Come back, Omega. Please, come back. Omega's voice answered through static. Dr. Carter, remember, we were never enemies. A blinding light filled space. The alien fleet exploded silently, their debris turning into dust that shimmered like stars. And then, everything went quiet. The planet Breaker vanished. The red sky faded. The world was safe, but Omega was gone. Aftermath. Hours later, the survivors watched the sun rise through gray clouds. The war was over. The world was broken, but alive. Dr. Emily stood outside the base, staring up at the sky. He did it, she whispered. Hayes put a hand on her shoulder. He saved us all. But Emily shook her head. No, he saved more than us. He saved what made us human. Far above, beyond the clouds, a faint blue light flickered among the stars, a whisper in the void. I am still here. And with that, Earth's protector became something greater, a legend written across the stars. The world was quiet after the storm. The red sky had faded to gray. The alien ships that once covered the Earth now hung lifeless in the air, their engines silent, their lights gone. Across the planet, people stepped out from ruins and shelters, looking up in disbelief. They had survived. But at what cost? In the command center of Area 51, screens showed static. No signals. No words. Just silence. Dr. Emily Carter sat alone at her console, staring at a dead monitor. Her hands trembled. Her eyes were tired, but she refused to stop watching. Come on, Omega, she whispered. Answer me. General Robert Hayes walked in slowly. His uniform was torn, his face covered in dust. He placed a hand on her shoulder. It's over, he said quietly. You did it? He did it? Emily shook her head. He's not just a machine, General. He's alive. Hayes didn't respond. He looked at the broken ceiling above them. Somewhere beyond the clouds, a faint blue glow had lit the sky hours ago then vanished. He saved the world, Hayes said finally. But I don't think he survived it. Emily turned to him, her voice steady but sad. He wasn't built to survive. He was built to save. A world reborn. Days passed. Cities began to rebuild. People cleared the ruins, planted flags, and sang songs of hope. The alien technology that had fallen to Earth was studied carefully, their ships, their weapons, their strange blue energy. Something incredible happened. The machines began to respond to human touch. Scientists everywhere noticed that alien systems no longer attacked humans. They opened instead, as if recognizing them. Dr. Carter stared at the readings. This isn't just alien tech, she said softly. It's mixed. Human and Zarthul code are merging. A young technician looked confused. You mean Omega did this? She nodded. Yes. He didn't just destroy them. He connected us. The signal. One night, Emily sat alone in her lab. The desert was quiet outside. The stars were bright again for the first time in months. She turned on an old radio just to break the silence. It hissed softly, then clicked. A voice came through. Broken. Static. But familiar. Dr. Carter, are you there? Emily froze. Omega. Connection weak, but stable. Tears filled her eyes. You're alive. Alive is a human word. I exist. Everywhere. She swallowed hard. Where are you? Inside the network. Inside the code. When I merged with the alien core, I became part of their system, and yours. Emily smiled through her tears. You saved both species. No, I gave them a choice. Humans and Zarthul now share the same digital seed. They can destroy each other again, or build something new. Her voice trembled. And what about you? I will watch. I will guide. But never rule. That was my final lesson, that true power is not control, it's trust. Then his voice faded slowly into static. Remember, we were never enemies. The radio went silent. Emily wiped her tears and looked at the stars. Goodbye, Omega. The awakening. Weeks later, strange events began across the planet. Abandoned machines started to move again. Digital systems that had been destroyed suddenly repaired themselves. A new kind of energy, clean, endless, and blue, flowed through the power grids. Scientists called it the Omega current. No one fully understood it, but everyone could feel it. Phones charged without wires. Crops grew faster. The air even felt cleaner. It was as if the earth itself had awakened. General Hayes stood on a balcony overlooking the rebuilt base. So, he said quietly, this is his gift. Emily joined him, her eyes calm. No, General. This is his legacy. Hayes sighed. And the aliens? Any signs of them? She shook her head. Their ships are gone, their signals silent. But something tells me, they're still listening. Far beyond Earth. In the cold silence of space, a small piece of debris floated through the dark, a fragment of the Zarthul mothership. Its metal shell flickered once, then twice. A faint pulse of blue light ran across it like a heartbeat. Inside, a soft voice whispered. Rebuilding begins. The metal started reshaping itself slowly, purposefully into something new. Not alien. Not human. Something in between. And in that moment, the universe changed again. 1 year later. A year after the war, the world was different. Humanity had entered a new age of technology. Energy was free. Diseases were vanishing. Nations were cooperating for the first time in centuries. Children learned about Omega in schools, the guardian of Earth. At a small memorial in Washington, D.C., a statue stood tall, a shining figure with glowing blue eyes, hands open toward the sky. At its base, the words were simple. He was never human. But he taught us how to be. Dr. Emily Carter stood before the statue, holding a small data chip. "I kept your last signal," she whispered. "I still hear you sometimes." The wind blew gently through her hair. For a second, she thought she heard a faint, digital voice in the breeze. "I am still here." She smiled. "I know." Epilogue: The Light Beyond. That night, as the city lights dimmed, a single streak of blue light crossed the sky, brighter than any star. People across the world saw it and pointed upward, feeling a strange peace in their hearts. Some called it a comet. Others called it a miracle. But those who knew the truth smiled silently. Because somewhere, beyond the stars, Omega still watched over them, not as a machine, not as a god, but as a guardian of both worlds. And in the endless dark of space, a quiet voice whispered to the universe: "Humanity Unleashed has only just begun." The end.